Hi, I haven't made a video in so long, so if you're watching this, thank you. Today I wanted to talk about what I knit in 2025, starting from absolutely zero knowledge of knitting. I did teach myself how to crochet around 2020. It was very much a COVID hobby, and then in 2025 I was so determined to learn how to knit. Not that like you need a reason to learn how to knit, but I was traveling and I was in Japan like every other 20 something in the past 10 years. And I walked past the most beautiful yarn store and I was like, this yarn is too precious to crochet with for my skill level. I'm sure like the skilled crocheters could make a really beautiful piece with the yarn I bought, but that yarn itself inspired me to learn how to knit. Fast forward a year, I actually have not used that yarn yet because I'm not sure what to do with it. I only bought 200 grams. Like I said, I knew nothing about knitting, and it's also hot pink. So maybe this year will be the year that I finally use it. But I just wanted to kind of like walk through what I made this year. If nothing else, it'll be nice to look back on next year because I'm like locked into this hobby and I feel like this is the first time I've ever committed to a hobby and actually seen my progress with it. So I feel like knitting is here to stay. Hopefully 2026 will have a larger collection, maybe a more complicated collection. You'll see tons of basic stockinette in what I made. But I just thought like if someone's watching this and maybe they want to knit, they don't know where to start, they don't, a sweater seems like so far away, I'm here to tell you it's not. Just learn a stitch, learn a purl, and like jump into a pattern. So I'm going to go chronological. I have my pile in front of here. I watch a lot of these videos, and even the absolute beginners are like sitting with a pile of 12 plus of the most beautiful sweaters you've ever seen. And so this is not that. I did not devote that much time to knitting. I did read 33 books this year. I work a full-time job. So anytime, not doing that, not maintaining some semblance of a social life, that was for knitting. And here is what I made. So I thought it would be nice to hold this so I have something to do with my hands, but now I have to hold these things. Okay. I will like insert a clip. I'm already one of those people. I will insert a clip because I did make a reel for my Instagram. And then you can see like the full length of this scarf because it's very long. This was my absolute first project. I literally went to Walmart just because it was closest to my house. I don't even like going to Walmart. I would much rather go to Michael's or RIP Joanne. But I went to Walmart. I picked up like a 2-pound ball, I want to say, of like random acrylic. It did have this nice like color gradient. I'm looking at the camera screen there, but so I thought that was nice because I didn't know how to change colors. And I thought I would start with a scarf so I could literally practice like going back and forth, knit, purl, knit, purl. I did find, actually, let me back up. I found my first ever swatch. Is this going to focus? Will it focus if it's here? Do I have to do like the YouTuber hand? You know what? I'm going to clip this. I feel like it's not focusing, but this was my first ever swatch on some random acrylic that I had. And it's like bittersweet to look at this. I don't think that's the right word, but I can see in literally my first 6 rows, I was knitting correct. I was not twisting my stitches. I was actually knitting and purling correctly. This was probably just a backwards loop cast on. I didn't even know long tail at this point. And it started off so good. And then I started twisting my stitches. And I know in this moment, I was convinced. I was like, oh yeah, I'm doing it, I'm knitting. Because I remember reading that a purl was just the mirror of a knit stitch. And that was probably correct, I don't know. But in my mind, that meant I wrapped one way for knit and wrapped the other way for purl. And that's what sent me down the road of twisting my stitches. So while doing this scarf, this monstrosity of a scarf, the entire thing is twisted stitches. I also had this problem where I was somehow randomly adding stitches and I still don't fully know what I was doing. I imagine I was yarning over and working into it on the next row, but I don't know, yarn over feels so intentional. There's like one random line, I guess, of garter stitch because I didn't switch to purl. But I have worn this, like from afar. It's pretty cute. Like I bet on screen, it probably looks pretty cute. I think it looks nice with like a long trench coat. That's what I did in my reel. And it's a pretty nice width. I steam blocked this because it's acrylic and it got so much longer, but in a good way because I think it looks nice, again, from afar. Then from there, I did this pair of mittens. I can put these on because they're so easy. This was just from a YouTube tutorial that had a free pattern associated with it. I'll have to link the original video because the lady that made her video was like so helpful and so descriptive, and I feel like that video really helped me learn how to read a pattern. Like I said, I did teach myself how to crochet, but I've just like never used the pattern, so I wasn't really used to certain abbreviations and whatever. These are also like a random acrylic I had, I think Red Heart from Michaels. I do like the gray. I think these would be really cute with something duplicate stitched on the back. I don't know if I'll get to that this year. But yeah, these are cute. This is the first ribbing I ever did, and looking at it now, it's really bad. This is the first ribbing I did, and I did it on a magic loop, and it was the first magic loop I ever did, so I feel like that just compounded like the errors at the edges. But that's okay. Every mistake I made was just like a way to learn how to fix it, a way to grow my skills. I also wear these. I keep them in my car. I live in Texas, so it doesn't get that cold, but every now and then in the mornings in the winter, you know, my car is pretty chilly, my steering wheel is freezing, and I put these on, and they're really cozy. From there, I jumped into a cardigan. Again, in retrospect, starting with a cardigan, not smart. But this is cardigan number 7 from My Favorite Things Knitwear. And once again, this entire thing has twisted stitches. I do wear this too. It's one of those things, again, from afar. It's pretty cute. I do love the yarn. I did Drops Air in, I want to say Cobalt. I think I wrote it down actually. This is my handy dandy knitting notebook. Oh, navy blue. Okay, so I did Drops Air in navy blue and then Drops Kids Silk in Cobalt as the mohair. Let's see. I learned a knit stitch, a purl stitch, how to cast on. I did learn ribbing, and then by February 17th, I learned all those things in January, and by February 17th, I jumped into a cardigan. This was another thing that just like inspired me to knit. I am a big Pinterest person, and I had been seeing this cardigan floating around on Pinterest for so long, and I had saved it years ago. And so that's the reason I wanted this to be the very first thing, like real project that I knit, the first garment that I knit. This fits, but the collar is like, it does button, but it looks really tight. I think it looks tighter than it actually feels on my neck, and I know I just need to redo the collar, and this would be even more wearable. But it's cozy. Like, I work from home, I wear it. I think it looks great on camera. The blue is gorgeous. This is one of my favorite shades of blue. And I really like that I did the same color button. I was debating between white buttons and trying to match the yarn, and I'm really into the monochrome look. I also, this is something I have done actually in all 3 of the sweaters that I did. I just have a shorter torso, so every time I'm reading the pattern and they're like, knit until, you know, X length, I feel like so far, again, I'm only three sweaters in, but so far I tend to chop off some length just so the sweaters, I like when my sweaters like meet the top of my pants and not go past that. So this one is a little bit shorter than the pattern calls for. Let me see. I can't even remember. So that one took me 2 months. And while I was knitting it, I visited Lisbon and I went to such a pretty yarn store called Retrosaria Pomar. That's probably not how you pronounce it, but that's how I am saying it. They have their own yarn there, but they also have various brands, and I picked up Moda from Wool Dreamers, which is actually this one. When I bought this yarn, I wanted to do the Lakes V-neck pullover. That's what this one is, by Ozetta. And this was like the right weight to hit gauge. And I actually hit gauge on my swatch, which I never seem to do, which is very annoying for me. And this pattern was just so good. If you are learning how to knit, I can't recommend Ozetta's patterns enough. They're very descriptive. I went from doing, you know, twisting my stitches and not horrible ribbing and, you know, pure stockinette to doing German short rows and doing saddle shoulder, that was a tongue twister, saddle shoulders, and picking up stitches in all different directions. And I felt like I could do it by just following that pattern. She has really helpful videos as well. I'm a super visual person, so watching someone's hands on the needles and how they move the yarn and all of that was very helpful for me. Oh, okay, this one took me about 5 weeks. I remember rushing at the end because I was going on a work trip and I was dying to wear this sweater. Like I said, I live in Texas, so a lot of the sweaters that I knit, I don't get to wear that often, but I was going on a work trip to somewhere that was going to be a bit chillier, and I really, really wanted to wear this sweater, so I can't knit a lot, like, in one sitting. But I remember like working all day to finish the sleeves, and I did it, and I wore it on my trip, so that was fun. Also, when I was buying this yarn, I walked into the store and I asked the very kind sales associate if I could have 800 grams of this Moda yarn, and she looks at me and goes, 800 grams? And pauses and then goes, let me check. And she came back with 800 grams. I knew coming off of the cardigan, like, I would need at least maybe like 400 grams of something to do a nice pullover, but I also was so scared to run out because I knew I was buying yarn on a trip, and so I just bought like an insane amount. But I probably have enough to do a whole other sweater in Moda, so that's fun. Oh, this is where it went downhill. I don't even have the thing to show you. I tried to get into socks, and I bought 9-inch circulars that are I accidentally bought 2.5 millimeter, and the pattern called for 2.25, but this sock, in 2026 I need to finish a pair of socks because this sock was so frustrating. I was using drops, Flora, and going from like knitting really chunky things to knitting the tiniest little yarn on the tiniest little needles. Like, I was not having a good time. I was not having a good time at any moment during the sock, and I just avoided it. I avoided it for like 2 months, I want to say. It honestly threw off like my entire year of knitting because I personally don't like to cast on multiple things at once. I know a lot of people do that. So when I start something, I want to finish it and then do my next project. I do this with books too. Like, I rarely DNF a book because I almost feel bad. It's like I need to finish it. I need to see what happens. And so in my mind, I needed to finish the sock before I could move on. But eventually I abandoned the sock. It's somewhere. I don't even remember where I put it, but this year I will either revisit that sock. I was doing the vanilla socks and the pattern is fine. Like, nothing's wrong with the pattern. It was me. This year I will make a sock. I've been seeing the polka socks on Instagram. I forget the pattern designer, but those look really cute. This year I want to do some socks. I didn't want to jump into like a whole other sweater while I was avoiding my sock, but I did do this hat. Cute. You can see the trails there. That's the problem with striped hats. But this is the Minute Beanie. Very cute. It's like a little longer than I feel like I want it to be. Also, the yarn choice is a little bit Where's Waldo, but I'm kind of into it. I can't wear it with my glasses because then I'm like truly Where's Waldo. But this is so comfy and stretchy. It's so nice. I was lazy and didn't even gauge swatch for this. I just went for it. And maybe that's why mine's a little bit too long. I just think I could have done like probably 2 whole less stripes and it would have fit my head better on the top. Like, it just goes past my head a good amount when I'm wearing it, but super cozy. I want to make more of these. And you can tell I did a big drops haul at the beginning of the year. This was drops Nepal, which I do really enjoy. Then from there, let me see. I even like stopped taking notes while I was avoiding my sock. The beanie I actually did in early July. Then I did have a couple crochet projects sprinkled throughout the year that maybe I'll just insert pictures of. One was a little holder for my husband's ebook reader thingy, and then another was a little plushy birthday cake for my niece's first birthday. Okay, then from there I did the Tessa sweater. This is an Etsy pattern that just like kept getting recommended to me, and it is like the most basic raglan pattern. Like, I don't know if I fully even needed a pattern for this. It was nice to know like the cast on numbers and whatnot. This is also Drops Air, just in a different color, and Drops Kid Silk to make this nice green color. So the pattern itself just calls for super basic raglan with an I cord around the neck, around the sleeves, and around the body. I decided to add a little bit, like a really small ribbing on both of my sleeves around the bottom, and a tiny ribbing, like baby ribbing, around the neck before doing the I cord. This one is also a tiny bit hard to get over my head. Obviously an I cord is not a stretchy bind off, which is nice because it's probably less likely to stretch out, but it's a little bit hard to get over my head. But once it's on, it looks cute. That was the last garment that I made, and that one took me that raglan, like, I should have been able to just like crank it out, and it also took me 2 months, so it's okay. It's okay to be a slow knitter and take your time. I was doing this during like the craziest time I had at work all year, so I, like, looking back, I know why it took me so long. I'm not a stress knitter. Like, I think some people, when they're stressed, they find it relaxing to knit. If I'm stressed, I want to just like stare at the wall. I want to watch reality television and not speak. So I didn't pick this up as often as I could have, for sure. I did start a crochet scooty, but that is still a whip. And then I did one more little crochet. I made a crochet Santa hat for my Jellycat pigeon. And then the last knit project of the year that I had was the Bella bonnet. I really, really like this one. The pattern doesn't necessarily call for stripes, but the pattern artist, I forget her name, sorry, I'm so bad with names. The pattern artist had this like 2x2 stripe on her Instagram, and I thought it was so nice. And then I went for a 4x4 stripe with this little like almost like gym sock ending. I don't know how to describe this. This is Drops Melody, really getting my worth out of all the drops. But this is so nice. I wore this in New York. I was there over Christmas, and it snowed unexpectedly, and it was freezing cold. So I got to wear this, and it was really fun. I think it's so cute. I love wearing this with like sunglasses. I just feel really cute. And that was it for my 2025. I have already cast on something. I am working on the Stripe Overload Cardi by, I can never even say this right in my brain. Spectakelstrick? I don't know. Someone please tell me how to say that. That one feels like such a level up. Like, when I look at my little twisted stitch scarf and my horrible ribbing on my mittens, working on this cardigan feels like I have progressed so much already. And it's nice to know that I went at my own pace. And as much as I do consume those videos of people just starting out and showing like really, really impressive things, I really tried my best to not make it feel like a competition for myself, like I have to keep up, and just working on things that I really will wear, even if I only wear it in the house or I only wear it a few times a year. I didn't want to churn out, not that I could, but I didn't want to churn out 20 sweaters and then, they get neglected in my closet because I don't need 20 more sweaters. So in 2026, I just want to keep being intentional with my knitting, really wearing colors and patterns and textures that I enjoy, and I want to knit for other people. So maybe I'll make another video about my 2026 knitting plans, but I think that's it. So if you're still here, thank you so much, and follow along for another year of knitting. All right, bye.